Thanks for staying with us. Time now for Africa News with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, a Rwandan ex-spy chief's body is found in a Johannesburg hotel. Dissident Patrick Karegeya was an exiled critic of President Kagame. The opposition's convinced Kigali has a part in Karegeya's death. Also, hundreds of illegal immigrants living in Morocco flock to government offices as a new policy is brought in that could give them the right to stay on as residents and step out of the shadows. And sub-Saharan Africa is expected to have a year of economic growth ahead of it. As nations build on the successes of the past year, economists say that they could push harder to take more people along for the ride and out of poverty. First up, the body of an ex-Rwandan spy chief has been found in his hotel room in South Africa. The Rwandan opposition has already started pointing fingers at the government, accusing it of hunting exiled dissidents down with hit squads. Kigali's denied this and urged critics to wait for the results of an investigation by South African police.
He was a former intelligence chief turned fierce opponent of Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Patrick Karegeya was found dead in a room of the Michelangelo Towers, an upscale Johannesburg hotel.
The hotel staff made the discovery on New Year's Day at about 17:30. Preliminary investigation when the police were called revealed that his neck was swollen, thereby giving police the possibility that he might have been strangled, and also a rope and a bloody towel was found on the scene.
Rwandan dissidents have been targeted in the past, though Kigali has always denied any involvement. In 2010, Faustin Kayumba Nyamwasa, a former army chief of staff, survived 2 attacks which he blamed on Rwandan authorities. For the opposition, Karegeya's murder was a political assassination ordered by Kagame.
This man, Kagame, likes to cover up his actions by making people believe they're just regular crimes. But this is not a regular crime. He was close to Kagame, just like General Nyamwasa, who he also tried to kill.
Kayumba and Karegeya had been living in exile in South Africa since 2007, and local authorities had offered to place them under police protection. Both men were very close to Kagame. They fought alongside the president in 1994 and held high-ranking positions before being accused of plotting a coup. After fleeing Rwanda, they created the opposition Rwandan National Congress. In 2011, Karegeya, Kayumba, and 2 others were sentenced in absentia to 20 years in prison for threatening state security.
Look now at some news in brief from across the continent. Al-Shabaab's delivered a New Year's message claiming responsibility for the fatal twin bombing of a hotel in Mogadishu. The Somali group of Islamist extremists has boasted that Wednesday's attack is just the beginning of more violence it's planned for this year. 11 people died as bombs exploded outside the Jazeera Hotel. It's popular with Somali politicians and foreign officials. Al-Shabaab says the bloodshed is a warning to African Union troops in the country that battle the jihadist movement. At least 10 people were wounded in a grenade attack in a restaurant at a Kenyan tourist resort in Diani on Thursday. The device was thrown into a bar full of people celebrating the new year before the attackers escaped on a motorbike. The town is south of Mombasa and popular with foreign visitors. Tourist areas along Kenya's coast have increasingly been targeted by Islamist militants. Local police say no one has yet claimed responsibility for the attack. The South Sudanese military claims rebels are forcing civilians to fight as they plan an offensive on the capital, Juba. Meanwhile, the army is trying to retake the insurgent-held city of Bor. Thousands have died over weeks of fighting. Battles between backers of former Vice President Riek Machar and President Salva Kiir's army has deepened into an inter-ethnic conflict between the Nuer and Dinka tribes. African mediators trying to push peace talks met delegates of both sides in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia today. Face-to-face talks between the camps are expected for later on in the week. A Congolese commander of the military fight back against insurgents in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been killed in a rebel ambush. Colonel Mamadou Dalla and 3 other soldiers died after the vehicle they were in was hit by a rocket in North Kivu province on Thursday. His death has been blamed on Ugandan rebel militia, the ADF NALU. Colonel Dalla played a key role in defeating the M23 rebel movement back in November and had been in charge of tackling the ADF NALU as it stepped up attacks. Hundreds of illegal immigrants living in Morocco today flocked to government offices in the capital to take advantage of a new policy that could give them the right to stay on as residents. Authorities had long promised this overhaul of a system that had drawn international criticism for its harsh treatment of the undocumented.
After months of waiting, there's now hope for a better life. Morocco has launched a program to transfer illegal immigrants into legal residents with valid working papers. Sub-Saharan Africans, a group that's been targeted in a string of recent attacks, are expected to be one of the largest benefactors. Immigration officials say there are between 25 and 40,000 undocumented sub-Saharans in the country, and the new law could radically transform their lives.
Thousands of people are going to change their status. Thousands of people who are going to go from fear and anxiety to peace and serenity. Thousands of people who are going to transform a potential nightmare into a Moroccan dream.
To qualify, applicants must provide proof they've lived in Morocco for 5 years or hold a 2-year job contract. But some fear many immigrants might not have the necessary papers.
We hear that immigrants will get their papers if they've lived in Morocco for more than 5 years. But what documents will they use to prove they've spent more than 5 years in Morocco?
The new law should also put an end to employers forcing immigrants to work for lower wages.
Employer is not, they are not comply with this contract, or what is written there is not really, they don't follow, especially the salary or wages for them.
From second to first class citizens, 1 year has been set aside to process the initial applications, and these first few months will be crucial to the program's success.
Now, Sub-Saharan Africa has predicted a pretty good year economically speaking. Nations are hoping to build on the successes of the past 12 months. But the World Bank believes that growth could still be far more inclusive. Luke Brown takes a look for us.
Meet CEDRIC WANDJA. He works as a shoe vendor, having had to abandon his dreams of a university education. Here in Gabon, poverty is still acute despite large reserves of oil and manganese, youth unemployment standing at 30%. But CEDRIC remains upbeat.
Today, many young Gabonese understand that through entrepreneurship, they can feed their families, and maybe one day they will become influential businessmen.
The World Bank forecasts Sub-Saharan Africa's growth should top 5.3% in 2014. But one of the drivers of that progress, investment from China, may be drying up as Beijing itself suffers a slowdown.
It's going to hit Africa quite hard, in particular those countries which have got a very deep trade relationship with China. And they're not difficult to spot. They're like Angola, they're like Zambia with the copper.
Lagging behind much of the region's expansion, the continent's largest economy, South Africa. Growth there expected to be at its lowest since 2009, only recovering to 2.9% in 2014. Striking workers hurting key sectors like mining, even as the economy matures.
We need much higher growth. Some of our problems are on the export side, on the mining side. You know that we've got labour issues there. So put these all together. Foreigners are beginning to stand back and re-look at the South African economy.
That dropping off means Nigeria is rivaling South Africa for the crown at the top, thanks to its booming oil exports, even if output hit a 4-year low in 2013. Oil, too, playing a key role in one nation in the spotlight as 2014 begins. South Sudan only reopened its oil pipelines in April after a 16-month hiatus, that due to disputes with its northern neighbour, Sudan. Juba selling $1.3 billion of black gold since then, before December's political turmoil once more cast a shadow over the world's youngest nation.
Luke Brown there for us. Well, that does wrap up African news for me for tonight. I'll leave you, though, with before the short break, after which we'll have more news and headlines from around the world. Take care.